You're listening to the Comic Reflections JLMAY special, part of a crossover with numerous other podcasts discussing JLA Year 1. I'm your host, Nicholas Prom.
And I'm Spencer Valadez.
So, if you haven't listened to the other parts of this, stop. Check out Part 1 as a recent episode of the Fire and Water podcast discussing issues 1 and 2. Part 2 from the Power of Fishnets podcast discussing issues 3 and 4. Part 3, Waiting for Doom, the Doom Patrol podcast, does issues 5 and 6. Part 4 from the LanternCast, which is surprisingly Green Lantern podcast, to the surprise of no one. That they got issues 7 and 8. Part 5, the Supermates podcast. Several of these are on the Fire and Water podcast network, so you can, if you subscribe to that feed, you can get them all.
Right.
Very simple. Part 6, covering issue number 10, is the Idlehead of Diabolu, podcast for John Jones.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And then we have the honor of covering issue number 11. We are part 7. And then following us in just a couple days after this this episode drops, check out Michael Bailey's Views for the Longbox for part 8 and issue number 12 of JLA Year 1.
Yeah.
This is a great podcast crossover, and we are so thrilled to be a part of this.
Yeah, and it's not going to alternate the universe either.
What do you mean, alternate the universe?
Not alternate. It's not going to alter the universe.
Right.
In any way.
Yeah, so, it's no Crisis, no Zero Hour.
Yeah.
This is post-Crisis, post-Zero Hour, so... retcons and continuity shifts. Ugh. Like, even Crisis, I'm like, I love that story, but I wish it had never happened. Yeah. Anyway.
It's a lot of fun to read. And then you read the stuff afterwards, and you're just...
There's good stuff after Crisis, but damn it, why can't... it's like, you know how you've read Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow, Superman? Mm-hmm. It's a great imaginary last Superman story.
Yeah.
And that's how I want to look at Crisis.
Ooh, yeah.
You know, yeah. There you go. Chew on that for a little bit. Because I love Crisis. It's wonderful, but it ruins everything that I love about DC. But anyway, we are discussing, as I mentioned before, JLA Year 1, number 11, cover dated November of 1998. And according to Mike's Amazing World of Comics, it hit the stands September 9th, 1998.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The internet. It's your friend. Cover art by Barry Kitson. And the story in this issue is called Stalag Earth, written by Mark Waid and Brian Augustine. Penciled by Barry Kitson and inked by Mikhail Baer and Mark Probst.
Oh.
Yeah. This is fun. This is before the Waid and Kitson 3-boot Legion run.
Yeah. Okay.
Because that happened late 90s, early 2000s. Awesome.
Right.
Awesome run.
I was doing the math for 1998, and I think I was in like the 5th or 6th grade.
So I was like a sophomore in high school. Yeah.
So reading this, it doesn't feel like a book from 20 years ago.
It has a timeless quality to it.
Yeah.
It can feel pretty now. It works if you're thinking of it in a Silver Age context. I mean, it's a retelling, tweaking. I mean, the story as a whole is kind of a tweaking, retelling of the Silver Age origin with the Appalachians and stuff.
Yeah.
But yes, let's talk about our part of this, because if people have been following this crossover and reading along at home, they know everything that's happened in the 10 preceding issues.
Right.
So we should just go right to where we're at.
Yeah. So our cover for this issue.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Chain link fence, Green Lantern,
and the rest of the JSA really
are behind the fence. Superman is like strung up.
I think I see Mr. Terrific and Speedy. I think I see. I think Rocky from the Challenge of the Unknown.
Batman's curled over.
Yeah, it's a pretty like, whoa, what's going on here?
Lady Liberty.
That's Liberty Bell.
Liberty Bell, that's right.
And Our Man.
Yeah, he's right there.
I love Our Man.
Do you?
I do. He's great. He might be my favorite JSAer.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I just like him a lot. I think his costume is cool. I mean, It's messed up. Yeah, he takes dope and then he gets powers for an hour.
That's what it was, yeah.
That's pretty messed up, but he looks so cool and I like him. You know, he's on that Captain America power level, which is kind of a fun place to be.
Yeah.
You know, it's like super heroic, but not like invincible.
Yeah.
Even though I love Superman.
Also, Underdog did drugs to get powers.
Yeah, he took his power pill. Right?
Yeah.
That's so funny. Jeff and I mentioned that on a recent episode, too.
Well, great minds.
Well, don't give him that much credit. There was no way in the world I was going to offer that. I thought about offering this. When we got offered the chance to do this crossover, I thought about offering to do this with Jeff, and then I thought better.
No. So our listeners know that I don't necessarily listen to our show sometimes.
Anytime. But, I mean...
I listen to ours.
The ones that we do?
Yeah.
Okay. The ones with Jeff, I mean,
narcissist.
if he's tired or like, he didn't like it, he just phones it in so bad.
But we kind of crap on him a lot on this side of the show.
It gives me a lot of pleasure because I know he doesn't listen to the show either.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
What can you do?
I try.
You know, but...
I load it onto my Stitcher.
Okay.
And I'm like, I'm going to listen to this. Oh, there's a new Night Vale.
Oh, there's a new Jay and Miles Explain the X-Men. Yeah. Those are great podcasts, too.
I did this episode. I don't need to listen to it. I know what I said.
No. Here's why we need to get into talk about this issue. But listen, the reason I go back and listen to our show, everyone, pre-edit and post-edit, several times. Well, I listen to pre-edit like once now.
You like the sound of your own voice?
It's not that, but I have a great voice. Because subtle things I said that can be improved upon, I will make note of, and try to be better every time.
Gotcha.
You know, so at least one person who does this show is getting better all the time. Well, I try to make the show better.
Perfection.
Oh, right. Thank you. So, anyway, why don't you talk about the synopsis for this?
Yeah, let's do it. So, we jump in, and the first...
So opening splash is Superman beat up.
Yes.
And they just said they just went for Superman first. They don't know how they beat him.
They took Superman. I loved that.
It seems like kind of a wash, because they didn't say how they did it. They just beat up Superman, because I guess you could do that.
Yeah. I love seeing Superman beat up. I
hate you. I love Superman so much.
I love it because it shows the humanity of Superman that we never really get to see.
I mean, I think post-Crisis you see a lot of Superman, like, you know, getting beat or having adversity more. Mm-hmm. At least pre-1990s, those first few years post-Crisis.
I think you have to find a way to keep your immortal man interesting.
Or your invincible man, right.
Whatever.
Yeah, well, immortal and invincible are different.
Okay. I think you have to keep him interesting, and I think the way you keep him interesting is see him falling down.
Okay.
I mean,
like, giving Superman challenges is important, and having, you know, that ways for him to have real problems.
Right.
Silver Age, they find ways for him to lose his powers or have weird things happen to him from, like, red kryptonite or whatever.
Right.
And I love that stuff.
Yeah.
But ramping up the threat level of villains where villains that can fight him was a good thing to happen in post-Crisis. Here it's just so vague. Oh, they beat him up.
Right.
We don't know any of the circumstances. So, but whatever. But this is a montage, so we're getting all the superheroes getting rounded up and their butts kicked.
Yeah.
In moments of weakness, when their guard would be down.
Right.
You know, the Atom gets taken, the original Blue Beetle, Dan Garrett gets beat.
Yeah.
The Metal Men get taken down. I love the Metal Men.
Yeah. We actually didn't talk about them much in our kind of...
Oh, we recorded a bonus episode that will be dropping the day following this.
Yeah.
We talked about just a little bit overview of some of the characters that appear in this.
Most of the teams that appeared in this.
Yeah, just other groups of characters, but we forgot the Metal Men. Creation of Robert Kanigher with Ross Andrew and Mike Esposito. They're rad. Their Silver Age adventures are really fun.
Right. I'm not super familiar with them, but the lady one has her head popped off.
Yeah, Platinum. You know, the robots. So
right. Yeah.
Tina. Yeah. Platinum. All their names are a different metal, and some of them have nicknames.
Gotcha.
But really just Tina. For the rest of them, they're just gold, mercury, lead, iron, and tin.
Yeah. The one that really bothered me was this panel here. Alfred.
Oh, yeah, the Batcave getting taken over by these Appalachians, right?
Yeah. Alfred is one of my favorite characters. I think he's one of the most important characters in the DCU.
He gets beat up.
And it makes me sad. Well, I don't like seeing Alfred get beat up.
Well, he didn't die.
Well, okay, but I still don't like it.
Okay.
And then we have, I think, Hawkman's wings, maybe?
Yeah. They beat up the Hawks in their home.
Yeah.
Like with their wings off,
Let's see, they
get Johnny Quick and Dr. Midnight. They smash it. They break his glasses.
Yeah, what a jerk. He's kind of like Velma.
My glasses, oh no.
Yeah.
From Scooby-Doo. Yeah. I never even thought about that.
Well, he can't see without them.
But it's so weird. But he can only see in the dark.
Right, he can't. Yeah.
With the glasses, he can only see in the dark. There's a lot of limitations for this guy.
Yeah.
It's so weird. But anyway.
Is there any other power that he has?
Nope.
So why become a superhero?
It was the golden age. It's
science.
It's nonsense. I have a really hard time wrapping my head around Dr. Midnight and why his concept would work ever. But yeah. Anyway, all the superheroes of the world get rounded up
and dropped on Black Hawk Island.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, all their planes are.
They smash all the Black Hawk's planes.
Yeah.
And of course they get rounded up, and we see lots in this internment camp on Black Hawk Island. Yeah. We see like Uncle Sam and the Freedom Fighters. I see the Human Bomb. Obviously the Black Hawks. The Challenge of the Unknown are there, folks.
They're all locked up.
Yeah.
And so your question is, where the heck's the Justice League?
Man.
And we find out they are fighting the Appalachians
and losing. To overwhelming odds.
Yeah, they're losing, but only because they're so outnumbered.
Right, because originally the Appalachians, there were like 7 or 8 of them, right?
Right. Yeah.
And there's thousands now.
Right. I really like the team up between Canary and Flash in this.
Yeah, it's good.
There's a bit of a love interest kind of thing going on.
And the strength of this series, in our bonus episode, I talk about some of my feelings of its the shortcomings of the post-crisis JLA retcon. But this series, and it's just because Mark Waid's such a great storyteller. He's great with character.
I think we mentioned kind of pre-show how he's kind of one of our guys. Like
he is one of our guys.
You want a good story? Let's read a Mark Waid story.
Yeah, he's one of those it's always going to be good.
Yeah.
There are guys, as far as modern writers go, it's like, yeah, Mark Waid and Kurt Busiek, you're always going to get good comics.
Yeah.
It's just like you go read Roy Thomas or a Jerry Conway or a Marv Wolfman, like I'm going to enjoy this.
Yeah.
Some people are your safe bets, like it's just going to be good comics.
Yeah.
But yeah, the camaraderie.
I don't think those guys are really polarizing. Like,
no, they're pretty. It's like because they're not like controversial people with terrible worldviews, like Frank Miller. And I don't want to get into that right now, but anyway, the camaraderie that, especially with like the Flash and Canary in this instance you're giving, is great. Yeah. What are they doing here? They're fighting the Appalachians. Yeah,
the League are being kind of overwhelmed by the Appalachians, and we get a bit of a flashback with in kind of almost the middle of this issue.
Yeah.
But then we kind of pick up again, and we have.
I love the flashbacks to give the main plot points to help someone who is coming on that issue.
Yeah.
That are a thing of the past, it seems, at least for current comics.
Yeah.
It's too bad.
You have that kind of title page now, and they give.
But that's not universal.
No, it's not. You're right.
Marvel's pretty good about that.
Marvel's very
DC,
good at that.
not so much.
Much better than DC.
Yeah. I think Jim Shooter and others would say, like, look, every comic is somebody's first, and they got to be able to know what the hell's going on. And
he is a bit of a controversial editor, but I think that's...
Well, he's right. I mean, he's a polarizing figure in comics. He did great things, but he did a lot of things that pissed people off.
Yeah.
But Shooter was right on the money with that.
Yeah. So we have Carr.
Snapper Carr.
Who
Jeff despises.
He's just the, maintenance guy.
He's the teen sidekick of the League, but in this retcon, they've made him their, maintenance man at the Secret Sanctuary.
Which, kind of a cool job.
Right? Well, it makes more sense than just having a kid hang around.
Right.
So this is part of the retcon that makes more sense.
Right. One of my kind of favorite things throughout this whole book is whenever Flash saves Canary, she always gives him like a, look, I was handling it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
because these guys are so chivalrous, especially Flash. He's just a good guy.
Yeah.
And she's like, I didn't need you to save me, actually.
Right.
I was good.
Yeah.
But in this, they're really tired.
Yeah.
They're really tired. They're getting really wore down by the Appalachians. They're losing.
They are. And they keep kind of calling on each other, like, I need your help. And they're like, sorry. And at one point,
Lantern
the Lantern
forgot to recharge his ring. He forgot how much time had elapsed.
I think it's not that he forgot, it's that he just ran out of time. Because they've been fighting, I think it said, for 20-some hours straight.
Right, and he, oh crap, I forgot I needed to charge my ring.
Right.
And so he has a Flash run and get it while Lantern is falling from the sky.
Yeah.
And it was invisible. He had to go to the Ferris Air locker.
Touch is what he says.
Bring it back. And so he's, saved, but wouldn't have happened without teamwork.
Yeah, and at one point they just say, we've lost Metropolis.
Yeah, and they have to move on. Also, throughout the series, man, Aquaman kicking a lot of butt and being a really interesting character.
Yes.
Really, I think this is really great at elevating Aquaman and John Jones a great deal. All of them, really. But I think those really stand out to me because they're kind of the, like, meh whatevers of the original 7 Justice League. I mean, let's be fair.
Yeah.
As far as followings go from that time, like, look, it was the big 5 characters and then these 2 guys.
Right.
But, they were part of that ensemble. But here they're really getting meatier characterization. I like it. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So the kind of behind-the-scenes leader of the Locust group
was an Appalachian possessing Snapper Carr's uncle Simon.
Right.
And so
at one point, he calls another Appalachian to him. One kind of seems like plasma.
Yeah.
And says, look, I need your help, and you're going to give it to me. I've figured out a way to trade my consciousness for your body.
Right.
And so he uses this crazy, weapon thing.
Yeah.
And shoots the plasma Appalachian in the face and takes over his body.
And that does not let that consciousness go somewhere else. That kills that guy.
Yeah, it kills him.
Yeah, it doesn't go into Simon Carr. So Simon Carr is free.
And he's fine.
Yeah. So he runs away, though, because the Appalachian was going to kill him. I think he'd outlived his usefulness to them.
Right. And
but he's got
actually snatched up
by Vandal Savage.
Right.
And so the device that the Appalachian had, Simon Carr still had in his possession.
Right.
And so Vandal Savage takes it from him. He's like, I'm going to use this to destroy my enemies. All of my enemies.
Right.
Because Vandal Savage wants to take out the Appalachians and the superheroes.
Right. Because Vandal Savage.
Because he's Vandal Savage. I mean, we don't really need any more explanation of that. Like, he's a would-be conqueror. It's like, but you live 50,000 years and you haven't, you've amassed amount of wealth, but, you'd think 50,000 years you would have, had a better opportunity to conquer the world.
Right. Yeah.
It's like Apocalypse in the XMen. You've lived thousands of years and done basically nothing.
Right.
Way to go, Blue Lips.
Yeah. They're actually kind of dealing with this in the Legends of Tomorrow series.
Oh, yes. I know Vandal Savage is the main villain of that.
Yeah.
I haven't really watched much of that show.
It is a lot. If you think The Flash is fun, The Legends of Tomorrow is just as, if not more, fun.
The one I watched was fun. It was cool. But anyway, more of this.
Yeah. So we kind of flash over to Midway City now.
Yeah, that's where the League are fighting the Appalachians. Black Canary plants one on the Flash.
Yeah. So the Flash gets kind of nailed by one of the Appalachians' blasts. And he's, assuming, kind of dying because she's holding him, and you're like, Flash. And then she plants a kiss on him, and whoa. And he gets screw this, and he gets up, and
screw. By the way, you're paraphrasing.
I'm almost always paraphrasing.
Okay, but a lot of new people are checking out this episode.
Okay.
Or so this is our pilot for new listeners.
Right.
Okay.
Flash gets up, and he has an idea.
Which is?
They actually head back to
the Secret Sanctuary.
The Secret Sanctuary, to check out
the files that John Jones had compiled.
Exactly. And kind of going through them. But what they find is that all of the files have been emptied.
Right, and that's how the Appalachians got all the stuff, because Simon Carr was possessed by them. He had access to the Secret Sanctuary, stole the files, and that's how they were able to take advantage and catch all the heroes.
Yeah. And so they have to come up with a new plan.
New plan.
And the new plan is awesome.
Which is?
So they kind of just hang out in the sanctuary for a while.
Okay.
And when the Appalachians finally show up, they are all captured. Like, they put up a bit of a fight, but it's nothing.
It's like a ruse.
Yes.
They're like, it's a front.
They're picked up. And so we head back over to Black Hawk Island. And we have Speedy and Arrow talking.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, we got to figure this out. We can't just sit here. We can't just let ourselves fail.
Right.
And as soon
what
as
I do for a handcuff arrow at this time.
Right. And so they're kind of like, we got to do something. And they look and they see that the Justice League has been captured. And
right.
They lose pretty much all hope.
Yeah, the world is lost.
Yeah. So the Flash is kind of bound up in so he can't move. Green Lantern is bound in yellow rope stuff.
Okay.
There's a clamp over Canary's mouth, and
John is held in like a cage of flame,
and
Aquaman
is held kind of like the Flash.
Yeah. So.
And so they're bringing him back, and we've defeated your Justice League. We found out all your weaknesses. And Green Lantern is like, oh yeah, and he lets out this scream, and it's powered by the ring. And what is going on? Turns out
Hal used the ring to disguise everyone as pulled a switcheroo, so they all look like other people. So
right.
The Appalachians thought they'd imprison them to their power set.
Yeah.
But they had them imprisoned in ways that weren't going to hold them.
Right.
So they got to start busting loose the other.
Using the Manhunter's laser beams. The Flash is vibrate, going crazy. And it is so much awesome.
Yeah. So they spring the other heroes. They bust out their weapons.
Yep.
And
they actually they're at one point the Appalachians are looking at the weapons of the other superheroes.
They're studying them.
Yeah, they're studying them. Flash runs in, steals them all, runs them all out, and we have this awesome panel of both Green Lanterns, the Human Bomb, Starman, Dr. Fate, and Superman just going to town on this wall, trying to break down this wall to escape. It's this is my favorite panel.
Is it?
Yeah, in the
yeah. But this is great. We had a really fun issue, just a lot of action.
Yeah.
We lucked out.
Okay, so this is probably my favorite.
And this is really the end of the issue. We get a 2-page splash of all the freed heroes, and they're just kind of...
Just everyone is there. It's so cool.
Yeah, the whole JSA, the Freedom Fighters, I think the 7 Soldiers of Victory are there, although I don't see Star Spangled Kid and Stripesy. Or Vigilante. But
we have Dollman.
We do have Dollman.
But he is important later.
It's true. But yeah, a lot of the heroes are freed, and presumably we know in the next issue they will fight back against the Appalachians.
Right.
So. But
this issue was so much fun, and I was so I was blown away that we got this one because it's just straight action the whole time.
Right. They gave us something we couldn't screw up.
That's true.
But this is a load of fun, and the whole series is really great.
Yeah.
We're kind of done with this issue. Do you have any closing thoughts on this one?
I don't. Check it out. Go to your library, go to your local comic shop, find it, read it.
Yeah, or you can find the issues or get the trade.
Right.
Yeah. I got the trade on Amazon for a few bucks. As soon as I got offered to do this crossover, I'm like, buy, because I hadn't read it actually before.
Oh, okay. Super fun with the Super Friends.
Not really the Super Friends, but yeah. No, this is great. So be sure to check out the next part of this crossover, Part 8, with Michael Bailey's Views from the Longbox. He'll be covering issue number 12. And thank you, everyone, for listening. I hope you'll subscribe and continue to enjoy this program. The day after this episode drops, we'll be releasing our bonus episode, which is kind of
it's kind of a teaser for what might be available to our Patreon subscribers.
Yeah, we're launching a Patreon soon, and we'll be producing regularly some exclusive content that our subscribers will enjoy, and that will be the kind of stuff we'll get. That is just some general talk about this series, as kind of we did pre-show as kind of a preamble to our talk about this issue. That should come out the day after this one, so watch for that.
The next time you hear from the both of us, we'll be discussing some Thor issues.
Yes, from the Simonson run, so you should enjoy that. I don't know what I have lined up with Jeff next. I think he and I are going to do a special for the 80th anniversary of Lee Falk's The Phantom.
Oh.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah.
So check those out.
Yeah. Anyway, this is Comic Reflections. Thank you for listening.
I'm Mike Gillis.
And I'm Casey Dorn, and we want to ask you an important question.
Are you sick and tired of other panel discussion shows wasting your time droning on and on about foreign policy, economics, and human rights?
Or do you want to hear conversations about things that actually matter?
We host a podcast called Radio versus the Martians. Every month we gather a panel of our nation's finest minds and plunge a rusty prison shank into the heart of tough questions that have an impact on the lives of real people like you.
Like, are drivers required to pull over for the Ghostbusters?
Is United Federation of Planets actually an oppressive dictatorship run by guidance counselors?
Is Arnold Schwarzenegger secretly a genius?
And are we being mean when we laugh at movies that are so bad they're good?
So write your congressman and let them know that Radio vs. the Martians is available on iTunes, Stitcher, and on radioversusthemartians.com.
Kalabak, Tassad, it is I, Darkseid. I command you to listen to the Who's Who podcast. Uncover the powers and weaknesses of the Super Friends so that I may destroy them.
Aquaman and Superman, Animal Man and Plastic Man, Firestorm and Nuclear Man, Batman and Hawkman, 2D Man and Hour Man.
Who are all these people, man?
They're all part of the DC Who's Who. Ultra Boy and Booster Gold, Lightning Lass and Hippolyta, Phantom Stranger, Etrick and Arisia and Woozy Winks.
Hey.
What?
What about that one guy?
What guy?
Mr. Pretzel, Mr. Lipstick, Mr. Mitzelfuzzle?
Mr. Mitzi's Pitlick?
Yeah, him.
He's also part of the DC Who's Who.
Who's Who, the definitive podcast of the DC Universe.
Available monthly at Aquaman Shrine, Firestorm Fan, and on iTunes and Stitcher as part of the Fire and Water podcast.